Hey, so 3D rendering for Amazon products, 3D rendering for e-commerce products. What is that? How to use it? How to use this cool tactic for product images on your Amazon or e-commerce listing to get more clicks, get more sales, get more conversions with using 3D rendering, 3D pictures, so to say. What does it mean? It means like you can have your product by a graphic designer made into a 3D form, so to say, of the product, and it looks really cool. All right, maybe we'll even in post-production show some examples here on the page. So what is that? How to do that? Is it helpful? Is it not? I'll share from my experience. I've been selling Amazon since 2016, and we're using these 3D images for our products. And today with me, Kamal, he's the founder of Amz One Step, and guys help people optimize their listings. They have actually a lot of services, like an agency that keeps adding and adding. For example, me, I've used the service of creating a video for our products with Kamal's agency, which really helped us getting more clicks and sales for one of our grill brushes, a product we're selling in Canada. So thank you, man, for that and your team. And we're gonna have also a discount for Amz One Step in the description, which grants you 10% off these services. So we're gonna cover today, as I mentioned, 3D rendering. Kamal, man, can you please introduce yourself, man? And then we'll dive into the 3D rendering stuff.
Sure. Thank you so much, Boba. I'm super excited to be here on your channel once again. So yeah, my name is Kamal, as you mentioned, and I'm the founder and CEO of AMZ One Step. We're based out of Canada, and what we do is we help Amazon brands creating good Amazon listings that convert. And one of the key things when it comes to conversions is 3D rendering. It wasn't that popular back in the days, but now it started to see some traction. Lots of sellers, even big brands, they're started to use 3D rendering because it's flawless. It looks so sharp. It's good customer experience. People, it stands out when people search for a keyword on Amazon, when they see like different listings. And if you have a 3D rendered image, you're winning already. So it's an unfair advantage to you if you're using 3D rendering. So we do like images, videos, A plus content, PPC. So we are a full service creative agency. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about 3D rendering because it is one of the most important things when it comes to your creatives.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And definitely it grants more, as I mentioned, clicks. It's more seen amongst other products. It really stands out outside the listing. So sort of on the main image. Plus, inside the listing on the images as well, it's possible to create a cool customer experience with 3D images. It looks super cool. Again, we'll add throughout the video like different examples that I'll find on Amazon or something for people to see. It looks really cool. But maybe someone's listening now, okay, sounds cool, but what is it? How do we get these images? Maybe for somebody who's doing their first product, or maybe somebody who already has a product and they want to see, can we turn our image into a 3D? So my question to you, man, like how usually you do that? How usually you come to the topic of creating 3D images?
Yeah. So first things first, right? So we gotta take a look at your product and decide whether your product needs 3D rendering or not. Sometimes some products they are meant for photography, and some products they're not meant for photography. For example, if you're selling something that has a fabric, maybe clothing, right? So we wouldn't recommend that you go for 3D rendering. Or maybe if you have a soft surface product, we wouldn't recommend that. First, where 3D rendering works better if you're selling a hard surface product, or if it has a lot of reflection or transparent. So those kind of products, they work really, really well for 3D rendering. So step one is figuring out whether you need 3D rendering or not. In some cases, you're not sure. A lot of the time, how sellers figure out is they look at the competitor. Hey, man, I have got my photography done professionally, but my competitors, they're still looking better. When they come to us, oh, yeah, it's because 3D rendered, right? So many sellers, they don't even know like why their competitors are, their images are so good. So it's first we start with the evaluation. Once we decide that, okay, what looks like your product does need a 3D rendering, we can do photography, but this is the recommended route. So let's say you decide to go with the 3D rendering. So how 3D rendering works is it is a process of creating the 3D model in a computer software. It's not physical. Everything is done virtually on a computer. So artist is going to create the shape, the model, put everything together. Once the shape is ready, they're going to add a texture, they're going to add a color, they're going to add a text, whatever is required to make sure that your product looks real. That's what the 3D modeling is. And the process of extracting the images from that model is called 3D rendering. So what you get in the end is 3D renders. So now you have access to that model, and that means you have a 360 view of that product. So you can get as many angles, from whichever view you can get that, right? You can get a top view, you can get a bottom. Basically, you have access to 360 of that product. So you can get unlimited images if you want. So that's only on white background. So 3D rendering, just because the modeling is done, that means your artists still need to have some sort of photography knowledge, because the pictures are still being captured in a software. You still have to set your ISO, aperture, and everything, make sure it looks good, because if it's not done correctly, it can look fake. And you will see lots of 3D rendering on Amazon that it looks fake. So you want to avoid that at any cost, because according to Amazon's TOS, you cannot have any drawings or illustrations of the product. So what 3D rendering actually is, it's an illustration, but it looks so real that Amazon have no problem with that. People love it because it's such a high quality. So Amazon is a really customer focused company. So as long as it looks perfectly fine and customers are happy, they wouldn't have any problems. But in reality, it's an illustration. So you want to make sure it looks as real as possible. Otherwise, you're going against Amazon TOS. So yeah, it's a very comprehensive process how 3D rendering works. And the other cool part about 3D rendering is, you don't need to send your product to a photographer or anything. You can just send the pictures, or you can send the step file, and the artist can just work off that. And it's a lot easier to make changes. If something you don't like it, you can ask them to change it. So it's a lot easier for that sense. So yeah, that's what 3D rendering is. So in a nutshell.
Yeah, man, interesting. You mentioned that also 3D rendering is sometimes not good for some products. So I think I've heard somewhere, maybe I've seen even examples, wooden products maybe are not superbly good for 3D rendering. It depends on how it looks, but I think it's not a good, right? Wood.
Yeah, wood or fabric, clothing, all those products, like any soft surface products, they're not good. Wood products, let's say, because there's lots of small little details. If you're hiring someone really good, even wood can look great, but it's, you just got to find someone who can do the job right? Because of the texture, because of the pattern, because wood has like this.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It sees when it's like some fabric is done in the modeling, because it's so hard to capture all these little. Yeah, I understand you, man. Yeah, and the wood the same. It goes like these weird shapes, right, on the wood itself, and you
exactly.
need to.
Sometimes you guys, when you play video games, the video games are getting better and better. The people, the characters there, they look real, right? So it's just going to keep getting better. You can even try clothing or whatever, but you just need to make sure that it looks real, and that can get very costly, because the high-end 3D artists, they're going to charge you like really big amounts. So I'm not too sure. So you got to do your, investment and ROI calculation. So, what normally in the Amazon space people charge is anywhere from, $300 to $500, which is pretty affordable, right? So you don't want to spend like 10,000 or 15,000 just for an Amazon listing just on 3D rendering. So it's all about, getting your risk evaluation and how much it's going to cost.
So what's the best way then to do that? So let's say we have a seller that, let's say, talks to you or someone else that they're working with, and they say like, okay, here's our product, and they should tell you like what to do with it, or like, hey, here's our product, we want to have 3D images, or should we tell you we want to see the 3D images in this angle, or because it's made in a way that any angle is possible, you and your team can even suggest like, you know what, maybe for a product we can turn it like that, because is this something that you include in your kind of help to sellers?
Yeah, exactly. So if you come to an agency like us, we take care of everything. We'll figure out, okay, what kind of angles, what needs to be done, because we are an agency. We have a team of 3D artists. We have a team of researchers who would create the image plan or screenplay. Then photographer, designers. We don't even ask our clients to send us pictures. They can ship the product to us, and we take care of everything, or just send us the picture, whatever is easier. But if you're working with freelancers, then you are the main guy, the think tank who would direct. You are the creative director if you're hiring freelancers. So what 3D artist is going to do, he's just going to do the 3D modeling and give you different angles on pure white background or PNG format. And the best practice if you're working with a freelancer is to ask them for as many angles as possible. Basically ask them to do a flat surface 360, top 360, bottom 360, so that way you don't have to go back to 3D artist once again, because it does, whether you're rendering just one angle or 300 angles, it takes almost the same amount of time. right? So might as well, once the model is complete, ask for as many angles as possible. So that way you can now, your next step is going to the graphic designer, and now you can pick and choose out of those, so many images. Okay, hey, graphic designer, use these 7 images in my listing images. And then you have to tell them, okay, this kind of infographics I want, this time this kind of lifestyle image I want. So if you are hiring like different freelancers, because this job creating listing images, it cannot be done by just one freelancer. Either you go for one agency or hire like 3 4 different freelancers. So yeah, then you become that creative artist. But if you're hiring an agency just like us, then you don't have to worry about anything, because the agency can take care of everything, because they know what to do and how things work.
Yeah, makes sense, man. Because again, we as sellers, we can go to only a
Mhm.
3D like expert who only does the 3D, but he doesn't know Amazon, and he's not gonna probably look at the competition unless he includes it in his services. Mostly, it's
Yeah,
not. So, and he needs to be somebody that understands Amazon. So it's
yeah,
not like any other marketplace. So again, that's why either a seller who's experienced goes to a 3D graphic designer with specific things, or maybe somebody who's also experienced and wants even more guidance or other ideas. But whatever the
yeah,
way, yeah, still 3D images are,
exactly.
in my opinion, pretty
Yeah.
cool, and they're clickable, and I've seen them work. And also, what is cool that you can always, I'm not sure how it works with your agency, but one of my products is an example. We sell, which is not that successful, by the way, still, because I think the way we designed the product, it's wind chimes. It's like
Okay.
memorial wind chimes. More, it's like black product, and I would say that we just didn't make enough of standing out. However, we're working on our listing and we're working on getting more variations. But wind chimes, can you imagine, Kamal? You know, the nice
Yeah,
thing that makes sound. This
yeah,
is specifically a sympathy gift kind of thing, memorial gift, right?
yeah.
Now, we did 3D images, which are pretty cool. And also, we reached out to the same dude that did this for us, and we needed closer, let's say, look on the tubes of the chimes. For those who are watching, imagine wind chimes, they're tubes, very nice. It's metal, very easy, very good looking with 3D images. So we added then the big tubes to one of our images, to the main image, and it seems like even the conversion went up, and perhaps the CTR as well, because we started getting more sales, and that was after changing the main picture. And we had 3D initially, but then we changed and played furthermore with the 3D. That's interesting. I mean, maybe it was easy also for the artist. I'm not exactly sure, because my business partner was in contact with them, but maybe he, because he already did the project for us, he was like, oh yeah, we can just zoom on that, that's easy, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it helped us. So we're also using it now for other products. And from my best practices, this is one of the things, again, depends on your niche. You can zoom in on specific little parts of your product that, because in 3D they look very sharp, that creates good click-through rate, and of course experience for the people, because maybe they want to see the specific little part, or then this part looks more massive and it's just more clickable. Yeah, something like that, man. This was my
Yeah.
experience.
No, I think that's really cool. The one thing that you mentioned, that your product came in a black color. So black color products, they are really, they absorb light so much. So when you're doing the actual photography, your lighting has to be perfect, because otherwise the image is going to look dull and dark. So
Yeah.
3D rendering can work great there, because now that's virtual and everything looks just flawless. There is no human error involved in that. So I think for even for the darker products, 3D rendering can work great. And you also mentioned about showing the close up in the main image, and that increase the CTR. If you Google or go to amz1step.com, in the blogs section, you will find a blog called main image strategies, main image optimization strategies. So I have written like 12 different strategies, because how do you make your main image stand out? Because your product, according to Amazon TOS, the image has to be pure white background, and it should be product only, no graphics, no logos, no badges. But how do you make it stand out? Like, it's nearly, because once one seller does a good image, everyone just copies it, and then you hit a plateau. Then there's no one is really standing out. So I have written 12 different strategies just to make it stand out. And one of those strategies is showing the close-ups. So I think that's what you used it. But if you guys are watching this video and you want to know what other 11 strategies are, go to mz1step.com and search in
Link
the
it in
blog
the
section. So,
description. Yeah,
okay,
also.
perfect. Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. Interesting to see what other things you have there. But yeah, close-ups worked well. Also, for those who are maybe thinking, like, because in the post-production we'll show different pictures of 3D, maybe what people say, well, it looks a bit fake to me. First, I'll try to pick up maybe good ones. Maybe I'll even show the ones that are not that good. I'll see if that can be done. But if it's done well, then it doesn't look fake. in my opinion. And of course, I'm biased. I'm the seller. I want people to buy, right? But I
Exactly.
still like how it looks. And you can even do A/B tests with different software. Like we had Product Opinion on the channel with the guys from Product Opinion, different other seller metrics. There is Mindcart AI, Pickful, whatnot.
Yeah.
You can A/B test and see based on real shopper data. And that's also good to do, by the way. We did that even though we created a 3D picture. We took our previous picture and we A/B tested it before. That really helped us to see. And also recently it helped us develop a new product better because we were testing it against another initial prototype of us and main competitors. So we tried each time to get, diving a bit into other thing, but it might be useful. We tried to, based on 50 people each time, we tried to surpass 80-20. So in the beginning, I think 30% voted for our design or for our, not 3D now, talking about a product, but still hopefully going to be helpful. 30% wanted our product, 70% wanted the competitor. We read what they mentioned, did it again with better design for the product. It was like 40-60. And then we did the last one and we won by 80-20. All right. So yeah, pretty cool. And in the beginning, I didn't even believe we would be able to, we were reading the feedback of the people, change the design. It's a product for a barbecue niche. So yeah, that was the thing. So, but still with the 3D images, it's also good to A/B test against your current images or two variations of 3D image, right?
Yeah, that's so true. That reminds me of, two things. First thing is if you're using 3D renders, you can create a prototype or you can create the actual product pictures even before the product gets launched. Right. So you can get the consumer feedback. Okay, if this is right, if this is something they would buy, you can go and do, split testing, compare it with the products, what your people like. And then you can make those changes and go back to the manufacturers, hey, do X, Y, Z changes. And then you launch that product. That's number one. The other cool thing, let's say you have finalized your product design. And the next thing that you can do, you can also, if there's lots of sellers who are using Kickstarters, who are using pre-launch, who are taking pre-orders, they have a community, Facebook groups where they're, taking the orders before the product is actually launched. But you need to have images, but the product is not, where do you get the images? So those images that you get from 3D rendering, and then you can start the marketing work even before the product is launched. So you don't need to have the physical product ready, but you can have your promotional, promotions or marketing going on even beforehand if you are doing a pre-launch.
Yeah, and also, man, I would add that also, I mean, every picture we create is an asset. So later on, it can be used in ads, in Instagram posts, in different social media if we have it for our brand, in our insert card, we can add our, like, whatever, it's your asset. And again, it's easy to then turn around, move it. And with your agency, let's say I create with you, let's say a product, right? Let's say we take a grill brush and we create it. Can I come back later and say, hey, Kamal and guys, like, can we, just move it a little bit? Would that be extra cost? Or how does this work? Because sellers might kind of need that, right? Sometimes to adjust or how?
Okay, so it's two different things. For example, if you're just looking for an extra angle from the 3D renders, we can do it for free. There is no additional cost.
Yeah.
And let's say you get the images done from us as well. Like, we create 7 images that has infographics, lifestyle, main image, and you need changes in that. So we offer up to 2 revisions. So you can ask for changes like 2 times if you want something changed. And if it's like if you need the third time or 4th time, it'll be like small little fees, but it's not that much as long as it's a minor change. If you're asking for like a full revamp, hey, I just want to change the whole concept, then it will be, additional. But for minor changes, we can do it for free in many scenarios. So.
Yeah, I understand. So I guess while the seller is going to be in process of work with you, they'll have a manager that talks. I mean, I've worked with your guys and that was with the manager and she was really cool. She helped me. She whatever, we just,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you're working with us, you'll be having a dedicated account manager. We call them customer success managers, so you have only one single point of contact and that account manager, deals with every single department, in the back end and make sure things are rolling fine.
Pretty cool, man. Yeah. And maybe before we wrap it up, man, something you wanted to say about 3D images and you didn't say today, something you wanted to mention about this, about Amazon images generally, something you would, maybe I didn't ask.
Maybe, the other thing I can say is the 3D renders are not just the white background images. What you can do, you can actually Photoshop them onto the stock images as well. And if you do the lightings and shadows correctly, they would look perfectly fine. So yeah, 3D rendering is helpful. It can get your main image CTR really high. It increase your traffic, increase your conversion rate, and you can get unlimited angles if you choose to get 3D rendered. And the other part, let's say the very important, if your product comes in a bundle, right? So like your product, let's say it's a shaving kit or something. So it comes with like 12 or 15 different pieces. So now that's going to cost you each product, how companies charge, they charge 3D rendering not by a listing that the work has to be done, because it's per product. So that is really the key. So if you have like so many items in your bundle, then either go for photography or negotiate with your agency, or just get the main product rendered and other things can be photographed. So that's what I would like to add. Yeah. So and do not overpay. If you're always get a consultant to help, because I know that there is lots of agencies who are charging you thousands and thousands of dollars. And one more important thing that I don't want to miss out on, I'll give you two examples. So a few months ago we worked on two different products. One was hand dryers for the airport washrooms, because airport washrooms there, it was a really heavy duty, so it was made for airports, so that people, so there's no lineup or anything, people can just dry their hand fast and just walk away. So it was a COVID time, so we, even if it was not, we couldn't really go to an airport and take a picture there, right? So how do you do the photography of that? Is you can actually render the entire model, not just the product. You can even you can render the entire bathroom, so you can look like that. And the other example is we had a commercial plumbing product. So the plumbing product that goes in a commercial high-rise buildings, or in a basement somewhere. So who's going to allow us to deal with their plumbing and just for the photography? And even nobody's going to allow us. So what you do, you can render the entire lifestyle setting. So it saves you so much time. So another example I could give you, we had for garden, we had it's kind of a separator for different plants. So it was like 65 feet large, 65 feet. So how do you take a pictures of a 65 feet large? So you can render the entire lifestyle image. So sometimes people, if you look at some big brands out there who are, let's say in agriculture category or greenhouse. Another example we did was the greenhouse. So there was a product, looking at the temperature, it would automatically open the window depending on how much temperature is required.
I know this product, yeah, interesting.
Right. So that was the product. So instead of us going to a greenhouse and taking a picture there, sending our photographer on the roof, might as well just get the entire lifestyle. So those products are missing out on a big potential, because they're not using the lifestyle images, because they think the lifestyle images cannot be done, or they're going to be really, really costly. But in reality, it's not that. The solution is 3D rendering. So that's what I would like to add.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. My business partner sold on one. He's also selling on other marketplaces with his partner. They sold this opener for, as you mentioned, the last product that you just mentioned, and they also did 3D for that. Yeah, some other people, I guess, in the niche either had them in weird pictures, because it's hard to find a place to shoot it. Like, do you have the place where it's put? I don't know how to say it in English. The product that opens automatically, you mentioned, right?
I'm forgetting the keyword. I know, maybe the opener, the greenhouse window opener.
Yeah, something like that. Hopefully we can maybe add it here to explain. But yeah, so definitely 3D help there. Yeah, so for people who are interested and would like to see more information about 3D renders by Kamal and his team, Amz One Step, we're going to have in the description a link with a 10% off discount. It's an affiliate link, means that if you ever do business with the guys, I'm going to get a little commission from that. No extra cost to you, but this way it's possible to support my free content here. We have over 400 videos at this point for free, about 15 courses on Udemy, all free for Amazon sellers. So come sell on the platform. It's not easy. I've been a seller for 6 years, and it's challenging, but it's fun. And for those who are not stopping and maybe learn how to enjoy the process, maybe read, talk to people in the sphere, try, stay in the trends, it's possible to be making a living. And yeah, hopefully everybody grows, and you too, man, Kamal, and your agency. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great being here and talking about the 3D rendering. And you're traveling the world, living an amazing life. Yeah. So everything is possible. You just need to focus and work hard and pursue what you really want.
Yeah, I agree, man. Thank you for being yesterday, man. And yeah, all the links in the description. May everybody have a great day. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.